Chapter 46. Joso and Jara discussing Judas. Say I say unto you, dearest daughter of my heart, that you spoke neither a word too many, nor too few. Hence I also say unto you all, and counsel you, to retain everything this maiden has said, and to well heed it and act accordingly. If, however, someone desires to make any comments, then let him rise and speak. To this my challenge, our Judas Iscariot fronted up, saying, I do not completely agree with everything, although I otherwise deeply admire this maiden's wisdom, for she speaks like a well-written book. After which he dropped silent. But the youth Joso hit out at him, saying, Oh, you dreadfully nonsensical and exceedingly stupid person! Did you not hear the testimony the Lord himself gave the fairest Jara? Yet you would not agree with every one of her points in her answer? Oh, in that case, come out with your dissatisfied, exceeding stupidity, and we shall see what type of excrement it is. There, open your most foolish eyes, you old ox, and behold here, seated next to me, an angel of God from the highest heavens. His nature is pure light. Over here you behold the wise speaker from the heart of God, and next to her, the Lord himself, whose spirit created heaven and earth, and everything there is. Yet you would, over and above the Lord's testimony, disagree with something in fair Jara's speech. Say, who are you that you would so impudently argue with God? With these forceful words of Joso, Judas was much abashed, withdrawing at once and sitting back on his bench, for he had been seized with great fear by the adopted son of Cyrenius, and did not move on his seat. But Joso continued, saying, Is this not one of the chief disciples? His face seems familiar to me. I have seen him in Nazareth. Yes, indeed, it is him, and the same that had already quarrelled at Nazareth with a certain disciple Thomas, if I am not mistaken. Says Jara, Leave that be, noble Joso. Behold, if yonder disciple were as perceptive as you, and all praise to the Lord, me too, then, like his other brethren and companions, he would remain silent and ponder much about it in his heart. Since he probably has a very hard heart, he finds it difficult to grasp any higher and deeper truth. And even where he accepts something, he is not able to accommodate it, because in his shrunken heart something great and lofty cannot be readily accommodated. Hence let that person be, and let him not concern you. Said Joso, You are once again completely right. But, you know, a small rebuke is sure not to harm him, because I know this person to be exceedingly impertinent. He likes to constantly excel his mates a little, and all are to seek his advice. This, of course, never happens, as the others are much wiser and sensibler than he. And it secretly annoys him, and he therefore is constantly somewhat vengeful, which doesn't help him, because he is right now being put right, in not too gentle a fashion, by the disciple Thomas, who is quite a wise man. Said Jara, Yes, indeed, you are quite right. For I too now remember some quarrelling at Gennesareth. The Lord is bound to know better than us why he tolerates this disciple in his company. I would have shown him the door long since. This person is exceptionally repulsive to me, and I would not be surprised if this person once causes the entire company much unpleasantly. For I never trust such people who are unable to look you in the eye when conversing with you. They always fear that their unsteady eyes could betray their evil heart. And this evil attribute, not pleasing to me in the least, is part of this disciple's nature. Well, the Lord tolerates him notwithstanding, and must have a very wise reason for it. Say I to Jara, my daughter, behold, in your speech you magnificently outlined the reason, appreciated by all, as to why on my part, next to the wheat, the weeds are tolerated as well. And behold, this one too is such kind of weed upon my field. But when the good wheat is gathered up into my barns, the weeds shall be left standing upon the field and burnt, for manuring the heavy soil to lighten it. The soil indeed has to be loose, if the choice fruit is to thrive. But note, it must not be too loose either. For in a too loose ground the roots cannot find any firm ground. If heat comes, usually followed by great storms, then the roots together with stalk wither. And if a storm comes, then such stalks are easily uprooted, withering upon the field without yielding fruit. Wherefore the raising of the child of God always needs a rather firm than loose soil and ground. And hence in the heavy ground one has to sometimes put up with an occasional tear among the wheat. For it is not gathered for a harvest, but stays for the manuring of the ground, so that a subsequent sowing ripens to an even more abundant harvest than heretofore. Have you understood me?